In order to cure his cancer, Wade Wilson undergoes a series of trials that activate his mutant genetics. Shortly after undergoing these trials, Wade Wilson seeks revenge on the guy who did this to him under the guise of a superhero named Deadpool.
The good.
The character of Deadpool started to get really popular a few years back on the internet, and anticipation for this movie has been building for a fair bit of time. Ryan Reynolds, the actor who plays Deadpool, has been trying to get it made for years. So it's good news that I report to you that this is basically anything you could ever want out of a Deadpool movie experience. It's vulgar, violent, zany, it breaks the fourth wall, and the portrayal of the character of Deadpool is perfect. Some people, myself included, expressed some hesitation about Ryan Reynolds being Deadpool. Most people, it's because of X-Men Origins Wolverine, where he played the character, but it wasn't really written properly, and maybe we misjudged him for that. In fact, no maybe about it. We misjudged Ryan Reynolds for that, because he comes back in this movie as the Deadpool everyone knows and loves, and it is fantastic. Ryan Reynolds loves this character. He's been trying to get this movie made for a really long time, and you know what? I'm glad he finally got it, because he knocked it out of the park. This is one of those rare times where I actually talk about the rating of the movie, the fact that this film is rated R, and the fact that it actually allowed Deadpool to be a much better movie for it. The main reason this is a good thing is because the source material was raunchy and vulgar. So if you're going to do an adaptation of it, it's best not to water it down. And by no means is it watered down. This movie is all kinds of wrong in all the right ways. Also, as far as the PG-13 Marvel formula goes, I will admit that even though I like the Marvel movies, seeing a lot of them over the years has made the formula go just a little bit stale for me at some times. And with Deadpool being such a different kind of movie, being an R-rated movie allows it to explore new possibilities of morality you're allowed to show in your main characters, the comedy they're allowed to get away with, and just the tone in general is vastly different from most superhero movies you would see nowadays, and it feels so refreshing to see something do things very differently. Deadpool's sense of humor is this movie's greatest asset. They got jokes coming at you from left, right, front, back, up, down, directions you couldn't even imagine, almost throughout the entire movie. There is rarely ever a dull moment throughout the entire thing, and it was a blast. Some people forget this sometimes, but Deadpool is in fact an X-Men character. And as a result of this, a couple of the supporting characters in this movie are X-Men. I like the way these characters were implemented and how they played off Deadpool, and I hope we see more of them in the next movie. Lastly, I like the way this movie tells its story. I'm under the impression that most people who want to go see Deadpool know exactly what they're getting themselves into, so it's nice to know that the first third of the movie was told in such a way that we both got the necessary origin story material that we needed, but also were able to drop quickly into all the Deadpool goodness that we were so excited to come in and watch. And even though that might sound weird on paper, cutting back and forth like that, it never feels clumsy or awkward, and I give the filmmakers props for that.
The iffy.
The villain. I like the role he played in the story. He was a good motivator, he was a very good drive to move the plot forward and to accomplish everything, and to give our main character a drive against something. But as far as the character itself goes, meh. Stay to the end of the credits. You will be very glad you did.
The bad.
Scattered throughout the movie are a few logistical questions in certain moments about how a character could have made a different and much better decision in that particular moment. And yes, I know I am making that complaint under the full realization that this is a Deadpool movie.
The verdict?
In other kinds of media, excess vulgarity is usually kind of a turn-off for me. Not just vulgarity, but, raunchiness in general, complete debauchery. Deadpool is a marvelous exception to that rule, and if you're a fan of the character of Deadpool through whatever way you might have been introduced to the character, this is exactly the cinematic experience you're looking for. This is Detective Steve, and if you haven't already, go out and make this movie your Valentine.